everybody. I have a babysitting day coming up, so I'm just trying to be extra careful. I'm sure everyone here is fine, but so let me know if you can hear me. Okay, we have a quorum, so we'll get going. Heidi's already told me about a couple agenda changes. We have an approval of an FL, or a table for the Chanhassen Library that the Friends paid for, that we need an additional approval because of the cost of it. So that's under the action items. And then we're going to move Jennifer, you're doing the collection report, up further.
Okay.
Do you think before the action items even, or?
Probably.
Okay, we'll do that, so
Okay.
you can be on your way.
Okay.
Or you're welcome to stay too, but, okay. So any other agenda notes from anybody? Okay, so then I would ask for a motion and approval on the agenda with those adjustments.
So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And then we have the minutes from October 12th. Lengthy meeting. We went through all the Dalkey report. Did they get approved?
Yes.
Okay. Was I stealing your thunder for
Nope.
later?
No. Nope.
I was assuming they did, but it's nice to circle back on that. So any questions or additions or corrections? If not, I would ask for a motion on the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, and a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thanks. Well, we have the Waconia City Manager here today, Shane. I was hearing a little bit of the conversation, so are you fairly new then?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, well, great to have you. We
Yeah.
like to have I mean, it's been such a weird couple years that we haven't really been able to hear what's going on in the community.
Right.
So what people usually do is just kind of give us information and then we have questions, and
Yeah.
appreciate you coming.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks for having me. Again, my name is Shane Finneran, and I am newer to the city of Waconia. I started here in June as the city administrator. If you're kind of looking at me going, well, this guy looks a little familiar, it's because I worked just down County Road 10 for almost 8 years in Watertown. And so I would come to the rotation when the library board would meet up in that community and provide an update related to Watertown happenings. So I'm happy and excited to be back down here in Waconia. This is not my first kind of trip through this community. I worked here before as the assistant city administrator, so the community and the library facility here, not completely foreign to me. However, kind of the difference between the assistant city administrator and the city administrator as it relates to library function is I don't really have to deal with like the building maintenance stuff. That's the assistant city administrator's job, so if you guys have any building maintenance issues, you call Jackie, not me, so we'll get that set down. But no, it's been good. I've, like I said, been here since June. Kind of hard to believe it's going to be going on 6 months that I've been back here in Waconia. It's been a crazy, busy, hectic summer and fall for us. You live in Waconia, right? I heard you say?
Yes.
Yep. So if any of you guys kind of paid attention, depending on where you were coming from in the community, there's a lot of activity happening here, a lot of development going on, not just residentially, but also kind of on the commercial side of things. So I think right now we have we've issued almost 110 building permits, new building permits this year, single family building permits. We were just at an event earlier this afternoon with the commissioner where the CDA was breaking ground on a 60-unit multifamily project. So that'll, and I don't think we even consider that one issued yet because we haven't put it out the door yet. So that'll up our count. But right now we've got 4 kind of active residential developments going on with about 260 sort of shovel-ready lots. Also within those developments, kind of from an ultimate build-out preliminary platted approved stage, about 930 units of additional single-family villa or townhome style units. We also just issued another, we approved from a planning and city council perspective. We've got a 160 unit market rate apartment that's going to be constructed back behind the McIntoons grocery store area, so that's exciting. It's a really large scale project, but also getting some new market rate apartment multifamily building in the community is something that we don't have, and I think will be in high demand. And then obviously all the commercial development activity out along Highway 5 as well, with a new Dairy Queen coming, a new Taco Bell coming, a new car wash coming. We have an approved AutoZone, auto parts store approved out there. We'll be reviewing another car wash here, or we did last week, and we'll be having the council review that at our next meeting at the corner of Olive and 5 here, that little kind of grassy corner site. So great location for a car wash. I'm kidding, but it's an approved use, right, from the zoning perspective. But so we'll see if they make it work. But it is good to see all that investment happening in the community, and sort of the jobs and the rooftops and all those kinds of things just continue to kind of keep positive momentum happening in the community. From a city perspective, we've kind of the biggest project for us right now is, outside of just sort of your typical roadway or street improvement things, we're in the planning stages of constructing a new fire station for the community, and that'll be located out off of 10th Street, kind of back behind where the Ford dealership is, next to the Medallion Cabinetry kind of complex there. So, in those types of conversations, you're talking about, how do you build a facility or a building, that can serve the community for 40 years, right? That's how long our current fire station has served this community, and you want to make sure that you build it in such a way that building's going to be able to function and provide that service to the community for the same amount of time. So it's kind of fun walking in the door and being able to work on a project like that here as well. Our council, we've got 2 newer members that just took office at the beginning of the year. Our mayor, Kent Blodak, he's kind of our most tenured individual. He's been on for in the council or as mayor, I believe, for about 12 years now. So it's nice to have some experienced leadership in that group. And then we have 2 others that are kind of in the middle of their first term. So generally a younger, and when I say younger, I mean in terms of experience as an elected official. So it's kind of fun to help that group sort of move and understand and learn, what the city does and sort of what their position and what their impact is, as part of the elected body in the community. So we've been kind of working on that with them, especially being new in the city administrator role. So forming those relationships with those individuals and learning what's important to them and how they work is a pretty critical piece of what I do. So I'm trying to think of kind of what else is exciting going on that might be of interest, but we're getting through our budget process right now, kind of getting that wrapped up, and trying to figure out how to utilize some of the federal funds that came our way and put those to work in the community, kind of related to the coronavirus relief things. So trying to meet those challenges and do that correctly so we don't send anything back to the feds. That's the goal. But I don't know, that's kind of what we've got going on around here. I would say kind of maybe stay tuned for, there's some potentially sort of exciting things in the downtown area in terms of development and redevelopment that I think would really be exciting for the community. And you know, the downtown is a big focus for the community and for our city council, and kind of what we're talking about there. I think we'll just continue to support and bolster, you know, that vibrancy and that uniqueness that happens in our downtown in terms of commerce and commercial activity and those types of things. So we'll have some more to come related to that hopefully earlier next year. So.
Have you done any analysis of the mix in terms of children with all of the new development? No, because it's always kind of hard to sort of gauge that. I mean, obviously, single-family units are going to generally drive, you know, kind of more families. You know, the developments that we have, we've got a pretty good mix. You know, it's of I'll say, single family, kind of the villa style, right, which has sort of been kind of a hot product, you know, in Waconia, and I think really within the county for people looking to downsize, right, empty nester style, or I mean, some of these I would even move into because they're bigger than my house, and I wouldn't have to mow the lawn, right? It's all part of the association, but you get some of that style of living. But no, we haven't. But you know, in our census numbers, you know, we're officially 13,033 people is kind of what our census figure came out to be. It was about a 20% increase in population from 2010. But our people per household was at about 2.7, which was kind of which was an increase. You know, so that sort of tells you that you've got families with kids moving in, but. That number was also a target kind of over the years since the last census from some of the demographers, and you know, to have that kind of back up at 2.7 to me is important because the population drives a lot of things. You know, drives a lot of things in terms of state aid or competitiveness in grants and federal funding and all those types of things, and so yeah. But we don't, you know, kind of after the fact, we don't go in and do, you know, any kind of survey, or you know, we'll just sort of rely on you know, educated estimates, I guess.
Does the city plan to have any collaborative efforts with the county on Coney Island?
Yeah, I mean the county, they've been you know, making those investments related to the park out there. In terms of kind of our specific involvement out there, you know, from a city perspective, not really, just because it's a county park, and so we're not going to have much, you know, I'll say specific, hey, we need this thing here, we need that thing there. Plus, I think that was all kind of taken care of through the visioning process and the master planning process that went into that park kind of before it got going. So in terms of the ultimate development of that park space, I think it's pretty well mapped out already in terms of what's going where and how and when. It's just a matter of getting all the funding together to make that happen, you know, completely. Commissioner, you're gonna have to deal with all those issues, right? How to spend those dollars. But in terms of making that park, you know, kind of what you see it or what you're going to see it become, you know, the city was a big partner in that in terms of utility extension and working with the county and doing some, you know, cost sharing related to that to not only serve the park but also to serve the northeastern part of the community. Getting through that park space was really the most economical way for us to extend utilities, and you know, it's also going to be able to serve the park space long term with the facilities that'll be on site there.
Has the city done any planning in terms of connecting the trail system in the city to the regional trail system? Right now, there's no connection.
Yeah, there's no connection. We're going to really rely on our county partners to help make us make those connections for us, so.
Take note.
County Road 10 is guided in the county's comprehensive plan as a regional trail corridor. And, you know, I'm sure, I know all of our residents would like to see that connection happen, you know, up to the regional trail from city limits. We've been making some of those improvements along that corridor, Waconia Parkway South, and then County Road 10 out. When we've done some city projects, that will kind of hopefully create a better link through that once that regional trail is able to get connected. So it'd be a nice tie-in, but yeah, ultimately that would be great.
You know, you were talking about the different developments that are coming in, and some are single-family homes, some are apartments and so on. The Waterford area, or the farmland that's being developed right
Yep.
now. What is that? Because that's in my neck of the woods.
Yeah, that's a mix. So that's some single family and then townhome.
Okay.
Townhomes product is kind of on the north east corner of that development with the single family kind of happening further out. So the phase of development that you're seeing now, in terms of all where the streets are going and all that, it'll be both. So you'll have townhome and single family kind of as part of what you see right now going in.
Shane stopped it from being a 24/7 casino.
I mean, that's what happened up in Thief River Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, all residential there.
What do you see along 284 going south?
Going south, like what's getting built right there now.
Yes.
That'll be single family. That's the Woodland Creek development.
Yeah.
Really kind of a nice, unique
Yeah.
development. Kind of trying to match and work within some of the natural features in terms of the creek and canopy, tree canopy stuff there. But that is single family, and then the villa style lots in there. So I think there's like 30 some single family units and then like 25 villa style lots in there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any development as it relates to industrial that's not called Ridgeview or not a brewery or winery?
Yeah, that's probably one of our biggest challenges right now is, I'll say, heavier commercial and industrial development. Because really right now, we're just about built out in terms of available land for heavy commercial or industrial use. And so, there's really right now the only kind of opportunity is redevelopment on the former UFC site in terms of heavier commercial or industrial. And so trying to figure out, how can the city help support or spur some of that additional land, raw land, that for it to get turned over and in the development pipeline for that is probably our next big hurdle. Not probably, in terms of development it is. We have a little bit of commercial industrial space kind of in a little bit of a donut hole out just west of Target, kind of between 5 and 10th Street. That's guided for that type of use. And so trying to get that opened up would be good, because it's going to be a heck of a lot less expensive to serve that area with utilities than it would be to where our next big commercial and industrial area is guided, which is further out 10 at Little Avenue, which is going to require some significant extension of utilities. So yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of see how that starts to shake out, now that really the inventory here is very little, or is non-existent, and kind of if that will start to, you know, get things to a spot where that landowner is ready to sell. So,
What about the old farm store?
yeah, the UFC site. Yeah, that, it's for sale. I understand it to be under contract right now. There's a purchase agreement on it. I guess I can't say this because we did get an application for it, but Ridgeview Medical Center has submitted a rezoning application for that site. So I believe they're the ones that are going to be purchasing it. I don't know what their grand vision for that site is yet. I have a meeting on that on Monday, so.
Like a gas station across the street.
Yeah, but, yeah, so it'll be, I mean, Ridgeview's a great partner for the community, they do great stuff. We want to support them, continue to be an anchor in our community, they drive a lot of great things for our community, and I just hope, whatever their vision includes scraping that site clean and doing something new, so. We'll find out, but they did submit an application, so, public document, so I can talk about it now. But that literally came up in the last week and a half, so.
How are you guys spending your ARP dollars?
We are gonna put it all towards infrastructure. So we got about $1.4 million from the federal government as part of the American Recovery and Rescue program. And one of the main eligible expenses that you could put is for water and sewer infrastructure, and so we're gonna put, we have some expenses that we've already incurred kind of related to the pandemic, where, you know, that was only about $30,000, and so we're gonna put the majority of it to some of our street reconstruction and utility reconstruction projects that are coming up the next couple of years. Kind of help, reduce the bond debt burden for the entire community related to those investments. And then there is some language in the federal guidance that allows us to spend it on outdoor recreation. And we are going to be putting a chunk of that towards the inclusive playground project that we have in the community down in Waterford Park, which is going to be a really neat project and amenity in the community. It's a playground that, inclusive playground, and when we mean inclusive, it's designed and set up for kids of all abilities to all play together in one spot. So right now, the kind of our total investment in that's about $1 million. And so we've been fundraising in the community has raised about $260,000. And then we're going to use about $150,000 of the federal funds for that project. But we combed and scoured that federal guidance looking for a way to how can we use this on some recreation, and there it was. And so we were really excited to see that, because that was kind of the last gap that we needed to fill related to that project to be able to get that built for the community, because it's been a pretty big priority in the community for the last couple of years. So it'll be fun to get that off the ground and bring that here. So.
Any more questions for Shane?
Are you trying to get Panera to come here?
Not specifically. I haven't heard.
Sad.
I'll get it for you, Heidi. We'll get it in Chaska, right by your office.
I don't know, one in Chanhassen, you go by there, they're never open. You can't get a sandwich there. No, I haven't heard Panera. I'm trying to think. I heard Chipotle, but we're kind of worried that where Taco Bell is, whoever, the landowner there, I guess there's a game all these, restaurants will play, or whatever types of uses that, if I buy a lot from you, you're gonna restrict the sale of other lots or within a certain area, and, I think Chipotle would like to be out, by Macatoons, or where the second car wash in the community is gonna go, But,
Got a lot of dirty.
so now you got a Taco Bell. Now that Taco Bell, I think Chipotle's out for there, but, so hopefully they can find a different spot, but. Jersey Mike's just opened up, we got a Jersey
Yeah.
Mike's, so. Get that.
That's good. Where did you get your degree?
My undergraduate work I did at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. And then my graduate degree in public administration was from Hamlin.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, thanks for coming.
all right. Thanks you guys, yeah. Thanks for having me. Welcome to Waconia, and thanks for all the work you guys do here at the library and our community, so we appreciate it.
Welcome you to Waconia.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna hop ahead to 7.1. And we have Jennifer here there's information in the packet, to give us an update on the collection.
Yeah. My name's
Is
Jennifer
Alan
Duncan.
here? I'm sorry, someone's looking for Alan.
Me.
Oh, you have someone here to see you.
Excuse me. Yep.
Just going. My name's Jennifer Hemken. I work at the Chaska Library. I'm on the collection team, I'm the chair, and Patrick is our management liaison. So thanks for inviting me today. In your packet, there's a summary of what we've been working on and also an article about supply chain. I wanted to highlight about 3 things we've been doing, and if there's any questions, I welcome them, and if there's anything else you'd like to discuss on that, I'd be glad to. But our big one is we changed our integrated library system. So we changed from our Sierra to Cersei Dynex. You may have seen that in the catalog as you ask for books. Staff see it from the backside. This has been an ongoing project, and I was grateful to be included on the committee that worked on this. So a big thanks to Bob, who worked on this with our tech team, Donna, who's in our cataloging, who worked on this, Kristen Hahn, who's in processing, and the Chaska staff who work with that. They've had the majority of the weightlifting on this to bring this forward. And there's been a lot of inclusion with staff for training, for input. The team I was on, sometimes it was hard to get us all together because so many people were included. We wanted to get everyone's voice and hear that. We have staff who work in Scott County part-time and here, who worked with both systems and could give us feedback. And so there was really a lot of collaboration and training and working on this. Now, had we known COVID was going to happen, I would have bought hand sanitizer and toilet paper and, invested stock. And so, that put more stress on things, to have a big change. We've had our old system for 20 years. We've had staff who've been here this long. Anytime you have that kind of change, it's going to be hard. And then when you add a situation where you're trying to learn something while your kids are at home, and you're trying to do a training on a computer, and then you're worried about your parents, and you're worried about where you're going to buy toilet paper, and your kid's trying to get on the computer for school, this added more stress to something. But when I was in these meetings, and we would look and we would say, what are the benefits of being with Cersei? And there was all these benefits. What are the benefits of being with Sierra? The biggest benefit people came up with is it was going to be hard to change. I'm like, okay, tell me something besides it's hard to change. Crickets. Crickets. So yes, this is a big change. We had this for 20 years. We have staff who use this, who know how to use this, who figured out how to use this. But, so that's going to be a hard change. But the good thing is, everyone in the Twin City areas with public libraries uses some version of this. So when we hire new staff, they're familiar with it. When we have customers who move into our county, they've seen this from Scott County, from Hennepin, and they're familiar with it. So we have the learning curve here, and that can be hard. There were things I was struggling with in March that I realized, hey, I did that this week and I didn't have to think about that because I'm used to it, but it took that long. And there are things that I only do once a year that I'm gonna have to be, all right, how do I do this? And so it's a difficult change, but I think it's gonna be a good one as we move forward, as we get past this learning curve. And as I said, I work with the public, I work with catalogs, I work with collection. You know, talk to Donna Peterson with cataloging, who advocated for this and liked the system, but it was a hard change. You know, talk with our processing. It was a hard change, but some other things that were part of that is we also changed some of our vendors. And so we had to work with them as they were bought out by other companies and had changes. We've had to work with the change to Windows 10, which has, you know, how did we make our receipt printers and our pads and our printers work, you know, which was not a part of CERC. But you sit there and you're like, tech! And it was another stress level, and that we've worked past that, and now that's being successful. One of the selling points of this were the reports that I was really excited to use in the spring, and I wanted to, and I was frustrated we didn't get them sooner. Now they're finally popping up, and we have our first access to our reading reports to use. I'm going to talk, we're working on a diversity audit. We have the first chance to use reports for that. So those took a while to get to the point now, and that was a frustration, but now we're seeing these things pop up and get training for that so we can start to move forward. You know, I talked to Kristen Hahn, who's working with our processing. I think she knows every workaround to fix everything that could possibly go wrong, and I hope that CERC does not hire her, because we need her, and but it's been trying to figure out those things as we move forward. One of the things in the training was we would have people who used to work with Sierra, who now work with CERC, and say, oh, this is the way you do it in that one, and this is the way you do it here. And they would say, I left that company and now I'm working here. And so that was interesting to get their feedback and perspective on that as a trainer. One thing I think we lost with COVID is the training in person, not only from the presenter, but also from each other. Our staff is a good resource to each other. If you're in a training room and you don't get something, and you ask your coworker, did you get that? You know, you can get that feedback and that support. Or your presenter can look at you and say, oh, I see you're not getting it. But when we're in our home, when we're in a desk on a laptop, when we're trying to get the internet connection and your kid is, you know, trying to do math homework, that's an extra struggle for that learning curve. I am, you know, it's not me. I help the customers, and I have a small part that I use on my end. I wish Donna and Kristen were here talking. They have worked so hard, and they deserve the credit for what they've done to move us forward. And if they have any bald patches, you know, for pulling out their hair on some of this, you know, we've come a long ways on this learning curve, and I'm looking forward to the future for this. One thing particularly I want to mention is we've been working on the virtual library card report. I don't know if Paul's mentioned that to this group before. Good, but we had been working in our old system, Sierra, and it was a struggle to go forward and get that information in that old system. Bob Lincoln is now working with CERC, and he's like, wow, things that took me months to do in Sierra, I can now do in a couple hours. And as we move this virtual library card project forward from the project pilot here in Waconia, and man, we have people chomping at the bit. They want this in Eastern Carver County school districts. You know, it's going to be much easier to implement and move forward with this new system we have. One other thing that we have that affected this, if you see in your packet about the supply chain, it is hard to get things, paper, trucks, to get things unloaded from ports. So there are delays in the materials coming to us. And some of that is a frustration of, well, we got this new system and now we're not getting books. Well, it's a bigger picture with COVID. You know, and do the warehouses have employees? Can they go in? Are they sick? Are they healthy? How do we get the truck driver to bring us these books and other materials that we've purchased? And so that's been a delay. And we've made plans for it by ordering things earlier, cutting off our end date, and anything that does not reach us by the end of the year, we are going to use that money, instead of losing it, we're going to invest it in ebooks and e-audiobooks that are needed, but can turn around a quick inventory and a bill for us, so that that money is not lost if there is a delay in the FedEx guy getting it to us, in the truck getting to us. And so we've planned that out in case there's any delays there. And if we need to reorder anything that is canceled or not received, we can get that in 2022. Even authors that have said, I'm going to have my book out in 2021 are now changing it later. And we have customers like, I thought I was going to get this new mystery or this new great book I'm waiting for. And I'm like, I'm sorry, they've pushed out the date on that. And it's hard for all of us to wait, but that's part of that delay in that supply chain. Does anyone have questions on this first part with our new system, or any delays with the supply chain? I wanted to mention one other thing, that we're working on a diversity audit. So we want to look at our collections, and we're using some of the reporting tools to look at that. And so we want to see, how people are reflected in our books we have. Is it positive? Is it negative? What books do we have? From a personal point of view, I was born with cerebral palsy, and I know as a child, looking at books, it was very much, if you had a disability, you were the witch, the troll, my friends, we go to James Bond movies. Everyone's like, oh, aren't they sexy? Isn't James Bond sexy? And I'm like, well, apparently if you have a disability, you want to destroy the whole world and kill everyone, because every villain has a physical disability. So how is that reflected in the books we have of what children see? Are they seeing positive images of people? Are they seeing themselves at all? When they see themselves, is it negative? And so one of the things, we had a recent example at Chaska, is I purchased a book called Sadiq. And it's written by a Somali Muslim woman who grew up in a Kenya refugee camp and came to the United States and worked with Children's Hospital. And then she wrote the book that was never there for her children. And we have it in all of our libraries. And I had a Somali Muslim mother come in who wanted books for her children, and I showed the cover, and the boy just went, because the family on the cover looked like him.
Could you repeat the title, please?
Oh, Sadiq, Sadiq, and it's a series. But the mother wasn't sure. And I knew what her problem was, because you don't want someone writing this who doesn't know. And so I opened the back of the book and I showed her a picture of the author in her hijab, and I showed her that, and she read about it, and she took the books. And then I had a white mom come over to me after she left and said, that book you were talking about, can you show me? And the white mom lives in Clover Ridge in Jonathan. Her children go to Clover Ridge Elementary, and they didn't know how to have a discussion about seeing different neighbors and different holidays, different dresses in their school. And so they checked out those books. And at the end of the month, they both came back for more, and they had told their neighbors. And so we had more of these books checking out. And so someone was able to see themselves in a book positively that they probably didn't see themselves. They only saw themselves, I'm a terrorist. And now they saw their family in books. And white families saw these books and had value because they could have discussions about what they see in their neighborhood and in their school. And so this is a really positive way that we're working on this diversity audit. And we're just at the beginning stages of this, about what do we have in our collection, how do we review it, how do we buy it? Because a lot of the reviewers are mainly white, and they write and they review, and I look at them and I say, oh, someone gave it a star review, and we purchase it. But how knowledgeable is the reviewer? Does the reviewer know that culture? And so we're looking at things like that and moving forward. And I am really excited because personally, I know what a big difference it made in my life to see a positive reflection of a character like myself, and then to find authors who write. And wow, not only do you see yourself, but you have a voice and can tell a story. And then to also see how this can affect other children, that everyone can see this and ask questions, and maybe they don't see something like this in their neighborhood, but then they can, through the book, see different cultures and have discussions about it and become aware of it. And so this is something I'm very excited. It's a big project, but we're moving forward, and we've had a lot of opportunity to do webinars and training. And are there any questions on that?
What is the timeline for that project?
Probably a year, but you're gonna do it forever. You know, as you get new books in, you need to be aware of new authors, new sources. You know, hopefully you would not say one and done and check.
Right.
Hopefully this is an ongoing project. Yeah, and it also makes staff more aware of these great books we have. Because if the author's not well known, which diverse authors maybe aren't as well known, it gives staff also a chance to do readers advisory and promote these books and create more awareness too.
Where do you go to find these kind of resources? Like there are new authors for these kind of different diverse authors and points of view. And
Good
things like
question. Yeah, last night I had the opportunity to do a virtual webinar, and they had Dr. Debbie Reese, who is a PhD studying Native American cultures, and she was having all kinds of resources on her website and blog and through this conference of speaking about children and teen literature. But there's different resources for many different cultures. There's Own Voices sites to look at people from the culture writing about their own culture. And yeah.
that. Do you get, sorry,
Oh,
go ahead.
Not a question, I just want to say I appreciate what you're doing for your life mission.
thank you. And it was great to hear about the inclusive playground. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Really big deal,
Yeah.
really, really big deal.
Do you get original authors, or do you get books that would have been translated from a different language?
Most of what we get, well, we purchase Spanish language, and that's really the only language we're purchasing right now. We have, most of what we have available from our vendors are translated. Can you add any more to that?
Well, we changed the vendor. We used to go with a company called Brodart, and we found that they were not supplying good content for authors that were writing in Spanish. And so we switched this year to a new company, Baker and Taylor, which seems to be better at that. But still, the majority of books that we're still seeing, I believe, are translated.
Yep.
But at the same time, those are very popular because a Spanish-speaking kid will see his friends reading Dog Man and will want to read it in a language that they're more comfortable with. So sometimes the translate, especially with kids' material, is a positive.
And one aside, and I want to respect your time, but I went out to Riverview Terrace in Chaska that has a large Spanish-speaking community, and we were taking out books presented by our friends to give to the kids so they could have books to keep. And I went in there, and there was 2 9-year-old boys who had no interest in me being there. I started pulling out Dog Man in Spanish. We about had a fight over books, and I'm like, yes, they are fighting over books, woo! And so that was a good day. But anyway, but if you have questions on any of the other things or would like me to comment, those were some things I wanted to highlight. And
Well, the only thing I would say for, maybe this is more for Patrick, but as this diversity project continues, it would be fun to have some updates as we go through it. Because I'm curious, like, how many will you have to weed, will you end up weeding out too, which is just kind of good educational back pocket stuff to know.
well, I would love to give reports. You might hear more than you want to. But also I'm looking forward to like updating at staff trainings and all staff days too.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think also maybe having more ebooks too, because some people have transportation barriers, language barriers, and so as we can buy more ebooks and more diverse ebooks, that can help eliminate that barrier of transportation. and stuff like that. Having the hotspots renewed with the Dalkey grant helps people who have that, because yes, you can get ebooks, but then if people, don't have access to download it, that can be a barrier. And so,
Two comments. One, I'd urge somebody to write a review with a picture and submit to the newspapers and post on social media specific to Sadiq.
okay.
Couple reasons. One, I think proximity works. I think sometimes people get a little bit apprehensive when they hear the word equity or they hear the word diversity. People in our community that aren't going to talk openly about it because it's not really cool to have those thoughts right now. So to put them in proximity with a resource like this, also one of the fastest growing people groups in Carver County is the Somali population. And this gives us a chance to outreach in those ways. The other thing is separate from that, is our family frequents the library.
Yeah.
Grandma takes the grandkids once a week. I take my kid at least once a week, and
Yeah.
every interaction with you have been positive.
Oh, thank
I
you.
don't know you're a reflection of the larger team and Heidi's leadership, but those interactions permeate more than a book, more than Dog Man, more than
Yeah.
whatever. And so
Thank you.
keep bringing that enthusiasm
Thank you.
because it's noticed and you don't always get the feedback. This
Thank
is a chance to give that feedback.
thank
So
you.
thank you for what you do
Yeah.
for the
Thank you.
county.
I
And-
second
and-
that wholeheartedly, Jennifer.
Thank
You
you.
are the greatest help to us. I came in for needs for grandchildren one time, and you looked up a Caldecott Award book that I couldn't remember. Every time I come in, you help me. Recently, the other day, I bring books to my friend who is 106 years old, lives in her own home, and reads. And you found such good books. She was thrilled. And no matter what our need, you were special in every area. And
I really feel like I was welcomed in my home library, especially when I wasn't welcomed elsewhere sometimes. And so knowing that I was welcomed there as a child just made me want to turn around and offer that to other people. And also Monday night on virtual, last night, we had a bilingual Somali English story time. Yeah, yeah. And so we were out at different communities and with our community liaisons through the school and and promoting that. And that's a great way, through that virtual program to get a lot of people who maybe don't have transportation or maybe don't come to just one spot, especially with COVID, that we can use that Facebook virtual story time to promote those bilingual stories.
well, you are priceless. Thank you for all the help you have given all of us.
Well, thank you. Well, and there's so much we're allowed to do training and be on committees and just, thank you for letting us follow our passions, and it's like, all right, outreach, go! And so thank you. Thank
Where
you.
was your hometown library?
In Columbia, Missouri. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so we had a university there. It was a smaller town and had a university, and we had the best of both with a smaller town, but also all these connections through the university. And I sort of felt that way living in Chaska, that you had a connection with a smaller town, but you could go quickly and get all these great resources all over the Twin City area.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Oh, thank you.
Google Dog Man.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay. So we're on to the action items. So first we have a change in the holiday training and hours revision, which we'd already approved. I'm wondering where the change was.
There were 2 holidays that they'll actually give the day off.
Okay,
Thank you, Jennifer, but they won't be paid.
so which two are those? The
Tom chose,
oh, I see.
Which two, Heidi? I'm sorry.
The ones that fall on the weekend.
Okay.
So New Year's Day observed on Friday will be closed and New Year's Day on Saturday. So you're saying there's really 2 holidays, but they'll just be paid for one. Or 2 days they'll be closed, but just one holiday paid. And then it must be next year, Christmas. Because
And
Christmas, or New Year, next year falls on a Sunday. And Christmas falls, Christmas Eve falls on a Saturday. Well, anyway, this is correct right now. Okay,
And staff that were normally working those Saturdays would still be able to make up their hours working
Okay.
during the week,
okay,
so they don't lose. That was important to the county.
okay. So I think we need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the holiday and training schedule.
Okay, and a second?
I second it.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, this is just a bullet, but typically, I know we usually cancel the December meeting.
Right.
So do we want to do that again this year?
When
And,
we hold the December meeting, we don't get a quorum.
yeah,
If there's something, it's important to have it on the calendar just in case there's something
right,
really important that we need to deal with.
okay. So is this to be, we need a motion for that?
Yes.
Okay,
So move.
Second it.
okay. So all in favor of canceling the December advisory meeting, say aye.
Say
Aye.
aye. Aye.
Motion carries.
Before we move on, has there been any thought given to some type of remote hookup during January, February, and March?
The Assistant County Attorney, Jennifer Tishy, is still looking into the hybrid model. We're not allowed to use the hybrid model yet, but she's been looking into the hybrid model so that people could meet in person, plus have individuals from their home or wherever. So she's going through all the legalities. And Jennifer is just excellent, so we know that once the formal policy comes through, it'll be, all the i's will be dotted and the t's crossed. I just talked to Nick Katavi last night about it. There's still work going on.
I had no idea it was so
Yeah.
touchy.
Mm-hmm. And threats of lawsuits and all that.
Really?
Really? We were doing it online before, so.
But it was all online. Is it the hybrid part?
It's the hybrid part. Yeah, when it's all online, then.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's interesting, and I would never have thought that the hybrid
Yeah,
would
I
create problems.
didn't think it was a big deal, but. I think so.
So we're most of, well, the other boards I'm on, we're still doing on Zoom. I just had a meeting this afternoon, and, yeah, I just think people have kind of gotten in the hang of that. And, yeah. Okay. So next we have, let's see, the policy review about the policy policy review, the policy review. Employee recognition, and am I missing one for volunteer services, or?
Yes, volunteer services, we have to make a change in
Okay, so, come on.
to reflect a change in how we vet teen volunteers that now require background checks, which were not in the old policy.
Does adult require background check?
Yes, and they've always,
I didn't know that. Okay, but not just like friends volunteers, right?
right, if they're
This is
volunteering for the
actually-
library, then there's risk to the county.
Right, okay. So it looks like these are more of the formality, there's no changes, or something would be in red, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so, if you read ahead of time, just approving that we will continue to review policies every 3 years, and then sort of the philosophy about employee recognition.
Does the volunteer one, does it include like students who volunteer at the library or just?
Yeah, it has a list of, it talks about the policy of that the teen volunteer program is actually a youth development program.
So, someone like to make a motion to approve these?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
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 All in favor of approving these two policies?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. And then will the volunteer be at January meeting then? Okay. I will just have to make a comment that, you know, I was in the corporate culture for many, many years. The culture of employee recognition is unbelievable. The library system, I mean, she went on for 15 minutes about people. I mean, that just doesn't happen anywhere else. So it's kind of ironic to me that you have that as a policy because it definitely comes through, which is good.
And that's a pocket that you guys shine with. If I look at it across the entire county, it's not that way.
Oh, okay.
And we're still trying to take a page out of Heidi and Team's book
Yeah,
to do more of it.
yeah. Well, especially what you read now about the employment issue. It's, you know, people have lots of choices and are kind of fed up, so if they're not feeling appreciated. So, yeah, it's good. Okay, what we added is, I guess, I don't know, Patrick, if you want to say it, or should I just?
Well, you go ahead and speak to it, and I can answer questions.
I think we talked about this before, it was in Patrick's reports. We have a brand new table in the Longfellow room.
I'm sorry to bother you. Are there car keys by my seat?
Oh,
Nope.
Big key fob?
no?
Is this it?
Nope. Okay,
Let's see.
I will dig around in my purse again. I'm sorry to bother you.
No, no problem.
Can I back up just for the minutes? So
Yeah.
volunteer services, was that approved or is that where we
We're gonna
are?
look at it in January.
Thank you, I
So
missed
they're
that. Thank
updating
you.
it, yeah. So we've got a brand new table in the Longfellow room at the Chanhassen Library. It's beautiful, it's high tech. The old table had a lot of issues with it. It was over $5,000 when we included the cost and bringing it in, removing the old table, etc. So it's all said and done, but apparently we need to have the advisory board aware of it and approve it because it was over a typical amount that the Friends group would give to the library. Does that
And the-
summarize it?
And the library board can accept gifts from friends groups and foundations and so on.
Right.
They've been authorized after the change of governance to do that.
Okay. So I will make a motion that the advisory board approve the table that the Friends provided to the Chanhassen Library.
I second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Got that, Paul?
Thank you, thank you.
Is there a special name for that table?
Yeah,
It's Gwen's table.
Yeah.
Somebody carved underneath it.
yeah. No one better carve anything on that
They
table.
carved it and then they put gum underneath it.
I was gonna say, gum, always go there.
No one's carving anything in that table.
Well, we met there last time, right? Or 2 times
Yes.
ago? Yeah, so y'all got to see it, but now it's official.
Gwen's table.
Okay, we're
Put a
through
plaque
the,
on it.
we're through the action items. So Paul, looks like you're up for a Teen and Read
Yes,
report.
thank you, and I will keep it brief. You have a handout, my stack stuff here, my chip bag here and everything. So, for many years, the Carver County Library has participated in an initiative that is suggested resources made available by the American Library Association, YALSA, oh boy.
Young Adult Library Services
Thank you, boy, I
Association.
just backed myself into a corner on that one. Okay, so Teentober, it used to be called Teen Read Month, and a couple of years ago it got rebranded to be Teentober. We have several initiatives that we have during the month of October to highlight teens library services. One of them, sort of the more long-standing one, back in 2007, I believe. Heidi can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was when this board approved the proposal for having a teen fine waiver program where teens, if they have accumulated up to $10, they can have waived from their account overdue fines on returned materials up to $10. And the idea is that if that's a barrier for a teenager coming into the library to check out books, let's cut them a break, right? And so we've had that for quite a while. So that was one of our initiatives. Last year we didn't do it because last year we weren't charging overdue fines during the pandemic. This year, I think this initiative of offering fine waivers, we didn't really have a lot of teens take us up on it this year, but I think it's still a reflection of the fact that last year we weren't charging fines, so there's not a lot of accumulated built-up fines yet to be waived, right? So at any rate, it still is a good initiative. I think we keep it on the books for next year and continue to offer it. So there is some numbers there. I give you the numbers from previous years as well, and that's on pages 3 and 4 of your report. New to us last year, so this is our second annual teen writing contest. Thank you to the Library Foundation for providing funding for the prize winners. And so for 7 grades, grades 6 through 12, each grade, the teens submit a 6-word piece that they wrote, and to answer the question, and this year the question was, where do we go from here? And so you see on your report here the 6 winners that were just announced today.
Front page.
A lot of entries, 182 teens submitting writing entries, and that's a huge growth from last year's, our first year of 133. We had some other events just for teens. A few of them are craft ones. Dungeons and Dragons, that was a 2-parter, and attendance grew on that one. And I'll just mention my monthly report right now is that there's a store in downtown Waconia. And I have a coupon here. I lost it. But at any rate, they've helped us market it, and the store downtown is a gaming store, and so that was just a great collaboration with a local business. And we expect that is just the beginning of what will likely become a very active partnership with a local business. During the summer reading program, teens create bookmarks and submit those for to be a winner at each branch. That's at each physical branch. And I gave you copies of each one of those. 5 of the 6 branches had entrants in the bookmark contest. And so take a bookmark home and enjoy them. And so then we, in addition to the team winning a prize, $15 gift certificate to Barnes & Noble, thank you Library Foundation, is the teens also have their bookmark framed, and I guess we're the Waconia ones, they're around the library here somewhere, but we post these as framed art up in the library. The teen gets a framed copy of their bookmark entry, and then we have just copies of these out for the public to take. And of course on the back it gives the child's name. So a lot of really good energy that goes with that. So Teen-tober has been a good month for us this year again.
How many entries do you have for the bookmark?
That one I don't know off the top of my head. Of course, it's going to be different at each branch.
Right.
If I can get that to you for next time.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
It would have been fun to read these 182.
That I can also provide you. If you'd like a long list.
If you want to be a judge next year.
Yeah.
I second.
It's for 6
We get
words.
recruited here.
I love the six
It's really
words.
good.
I think there was 182 doing that.
Yeah, and of course, there's a story here on that Hemingway was challenged to write this, and,
Yeah.
and so it has some history out there in the big world.
I really enjoyed these bookmarks.
I do too. I do
They're
too.
excellent.
And they hold, we did a nice job, and this is, a heads up, and not a heads up, but a thank you to the county, their client services department, who do a wonderful job for us with printing our seasonal brochures and other things, and so we send these in and we give them dimensions on the cutting, and printing, single-sided, double-sided, and the cardstock and all that, so they have quick turnaround time, always very good quality production.
And I think also you get some artistic help through the print shop from the county. Keith,
Yes.
then begins with a B.
Yep. Yeah, when we have larger signs and things like that. Is that what you mean?
Larger signs, but also if there's an artistic piece to go with it, it's really good.
Yeah.
And he's really done a nice job for us because he likes the library.
Yeah.
Okay, are we doing the MLA report, or?
No, I did not get the MLA reports in from staff.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll probably do that in January.
And then I was curious about this coming up, collection policy review and adoption. That's different than what Jennifer did. This is actually going.
Right, that's a policy we're going to
Okay,
talk
because I
about.
was going to ask her about the policy, and then, so. it's-
I can tell you where we are. The collection team is reviewing it.
Okay,
We're
yeah.
meeting on November 27th, hopefully have something that we're going to bring to the December meeting. Now, if there's no December meeting, we'll bring it to the January
Okay,
meeting.
okay, great. Okay, so, just placeholders there. So, budget issue is still tight on the moment.
We're still tight. We did get our formula, which included an increase because of the crossover count, and it included that increase in a couple different ways. And this morning, I got notification that we have our RLT funding that will be coming to us, hopefully before the end of the year. So, but if it comes before the end of the year, that'll make it a little less tight. Of course, we're always concerned about going over budget with our expenditures. I don't know what the county would do. I don't know what the county would do.
Sheriff Cameroon has some cells available.
Oh, okay. We're trying not to go over, but we also want to spend all the money that we've been given because we have needs that we would like to meet. We're holding off on a replacement laptops, computers. We were able to finally start installing some of the replacement computers that were supposed to be installed last year. But this year we have Waconia and I believe you're with Waconia and Watertown together.
For 2022?
For 2021, we tentatively got that pushed over to 2022 if we don't get enough money. So we're really tight this year.
Yeah, well, it has been extraordinary here, so hopefully the commissioners won't.
Utilize those cells?
Yeah. Okay, and then did you have a report?
No, I don't, but I ask you to look closely at the branch managers' reports. They're doing wonderful things.
Okay, and, yeah, nothing from yet, so, yeah. Patrick, you look like your pages are first again.
Yeah, I would say all three things are the same, which are story time. One is, there's a wonderful page there of Storytime Love from Facebook, a person who attended our drive-in story time and just raved about it. Picture of Ingrid there. Second is the outdoor story time that we did at Victoria, where we brought out the parachute that the Friends of the Library paid for and threw the kids up in the parachute, and they all landed in it, which is good. Or if not, we'd hear from risk management. And the third thing is we did for the end of October, we did very spooky story times. And there's a picture of Heather dressed up as a witch. So it was, so that's my main report, is it's nice to have kids back in the building or outside during story times, and October was a really good month for them. There's also one more I went for, was firefighter story time at Victoria. We don't do a lot of these because we don't want to bring in guests a lot, because we have professional people who know early literacy, and we want them preparing our story times. But on a few occasions, we bring in, I know, police officers in Chaska for squad car story time. And there's a tradition in Victoria of doing firefighter story time where the firefighters read the stories, then the kids get to look at the fire engine. And it was a big success again. I think there was like 70 people. It was ridiculous. And there wasn't a fire that day. So probably why we had the fire engine.
Yeah, that's very good.
So that's my report.
Well, these are wonderful comments at the beginning of every
yeah.
report. Oh my goodness, appreciative people in your community.
Thank you.
And is Jody on the phone or no?
No,
No.
that'd make it a hybrid.
What's that?
That'd make it a hybrid.
Oh, that's true. I thought you had said something before. Well, Jody's not here, so was somebody else gonna just highlight or?
I would just say look through it and
Yeah, lots of trick-or-treaters and cute outfits and.
I know just from observing the staff here at Laconia that Jody is the manager liaison to the adult services team, and so they're working right now on finalizing plans for the adult winter reading program that begins January 1st through February 28th, and so that's always a well-received initiative and has been growing. I think what else is on the adult services agenda now, I'm drawing a blank.
oh, they have lots of authors coming up.
Yes. Yep.
Like 6 author visits in the winter, all of them virtual. So that's very exciting.
Well, and there are other virtual programs that they're hosting. And the public is actually really pleased because a number of the attendees are older and don't like walking and driving on ice. So,
Yeah, and I think everybody got one of these, kind of goes through stuff, so. Okay, Paul, Western Cluster?
Yeah, I think I mentioned in the written report that at Watertown, where we've had a long story on humidity and mold in the building and some other water issues, and so there will be repairs that next week. Friday, we have to actually disassemble some shelving that's up against the wall that has the sheetrock where the mold is, right? So we have to remove the books off the shelves, get the shelving units off, and that's County Facilities Department, right? So our good friends over there, Mike and others will come and do that for us. So Wednesday we prep, get the books off. Friday they come remove the shelves, and then Monday the city of Watertown will have a vendor come and do the repairs to the sheetrock. The hope, of course, is that the changes, the modifications that they've made to the HVAC system to remove humidity from the room itself, is that when we get into the summer season next year, when humidity is an issue, that the new humidistat will address those things. So try and remain optimistic, cautiously optimistic, that I won't be coming back and talking about this ever again, because I sure am tired of hearing myself talk about it. But thank you for your support and interest in me. So that's good. And I believe their new city administrator maybe started like last week. I have not yet met him. But there is a chamber meeting tomorrow, and my guess is maybe I'll have an opportunity to say hello to him. Of course, one of the things that I have a great opportunity with in all three western branches, and that is our chambers of commerce are very open, inviting. There's a lot of opportunities for me as the branch manager or frontline staff to interact with people in the community in that way. And Watertown is the dynamic in that downtown area, that small, you know, it's Lewis Avenue, but you call it Main Street America, right? Is the collegiality particularly of that Chamber of Commerce and the opportunity for me to be with business people and is just tremendous. So and we had, you know, lots of fun, right? You know, Halloween night, friends of the library are handing out candy, but it's getting people to the library, and we're not about candy usually, but what the heck, right? But otherwise, we have great opportunities there. Yeah, that's probably good. You know, youth services right now is just the working, because we're already just wrapping up summer reading program from 2021, starting to look ahead already to 2022, and trying to guess where we're going to be with the pandemic and all that kind of thing. But otherwise, as I brought for you today, just because it's hot off the press, is the winter program brochure. So, and staff, of course, while we're implementing that, what's in that content, you know, we really have three feet in three different seasons. We're implementing fall season. We're fleshing out the final details of what's in the winter brochure season and starting to plan the spring season. And so it's always a challenge to be looking ahead that far. So thank you. Unless you have questions about any of the western branches.
No, but I have a question for that.
Yeah, go.
Do you want to share, well, about Mary Wilson?
Oh, yeah.
And I was curious what the plans are for
Sure.
replacing her.
Sure. Mary Wilson has been the operations supervisor at Chanhassen. That's the head of the clerical people, and shelvers for 15 years, I believe. And she is retiring from the county, and she'll be greatly missed. Her job has cleared her job posting has cleared 3 of the 4 hurdles it needs to clear. We're waiting for the 4th hurdle. Once that is approved, the job will be posted, be up for 2 weeks. We'll do phone screening interviews. We'll a week later do in-person interviews, and if all goes well, if it's an internal person, Mary can actually train them. We'll have like a week overlap. If it's an external person, that probably would not happen, because that person would have to give notice. And then we're going to have a get-together for Mary. We're not going to be able to do it in the library, because that'd be a meeting, and we're not doing in-person meetings. So we're getting together something at the Chanhassen Brewery, and I just need to work out the details. So her job will be replaced, and if possible, before she leaves, if we get an internal person.
Yeah. Well, from my perspective, yeah, that's gonna be a hard shoes to
That's gonna
fill.
be a hard-
You know, everybody's irreplaceable,
Yeah.
but she just has so much institutional knowledge.
Yeah.
and- Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, she's preparing, she's going to have a nice talk with Heidi to share that knowledge. She's preparing for me a exit packet for the next supervisor, which she'll give to me in early December, and then I will review it and send it back to her and say, here's what it's still missing.
okay.
And she will give me a nice document. We did the same thing with our adult services librarian, who started on November 1st, Linnea, who found the documentation that Marin left her unbelievably helpful.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do a good job of succession planning.
Good, good.
And I'll put my hand back up, and just to piggyback on
Yeah.
that, Serena Marinell, who's the new adult services librarian here at the Waconian branch, she just started last week and 2 weeks ago, and boy, she's just already feeling the impact when you get a hire where it clicks, you know it, and this was one of those for sure. And we all 3 branch managers really have been intentional through the recent couple of hires that we've done with pulling together documentation, updating it, and using these as opportunity to grow even more our onboarding process and orientation of new staff. Of course, with professional librarians, part of that is, where is their base level? You know they've already got some base level of library experience and knowledge, but do they, for example, know the Cersei Dynex system that Jennifer spoke about tonight, or is the automation system a piece for them to learn? So it's been, thank you to Patrick and Jody for helping with Serena's orientation, and it is good to have the position filled.
Right. Well, yeah, and then there's always that, like, you want to capture that knowledge, but yet you want the new person to feel like they can put their stamp and their
Yep.
creative
Yep.
and their new ideas on it too.
Exactly.
So that's always kind of the,
Well, what I told Linnea is this is Marin's job for 3 months, and you do it as she did it, then after that, it's your job.
yeah,
And you do it as you want to do it.
right. Well, good. Yeah, retirements happen.
Thank you.
Did you just look at me?
Yeah. Because you're next. Nelsa update.
I'm retired from Elsa.
Are you?
Same stuff in mouth, so I'll keep it real short, is budget and personnel, and I think that there's a lot of learning the first cycle through on the MELSA board, and that a lot of wage and rates are tagged to Dakota County. So they came through and all that stuff, and then the federal and the state level funding, if there could be a disproportional share this way, so that's all good. I know that the pucks has been kind of a conversation at MELSA, and you guys are a shining example of those working, the Wi-Fi pucks, and doubled down on those. One simple comment, I know the county is transitioning from Verizon being the service provider of county provided cell phones to AT&T being the backbone through a group called First Responder or First Serve. Sheriff's Office uses it, City of Chaska uses it, gives you, there's a few extra perks and it saves us $100,000 a year. So I know it's a T-Mobile thing, but I've asked, if it comes back your way, I've asked Nick Octavia to see if we can pull those in under the fold and actually save more money to produce more of them, or if it's too much of a hassle, because T-Mobile is the backbone for the pucks that are currently in our library system. And they seem to be working fine, but just as a note if it comes your way.
So is the AT&T signal gonna get a lot better in Chaska?
So what I was told is that the Sheriff's Office and City of Chaska use it as a test case, and they said
Okay.
there's still gonna be spots, but they're gonna be different than the Verizon ones, and they're, Pete Henschel, who's our CIO, he said there'll be fewer than what Verizon's are.
Okay.
Now, the problem is that people that have learned to deal with the spots within Verizon will just have to deal with the new spots with AT&T.
I had to hold my phone like close to the window to get like a second box.
Clover Ridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 5 years ago, I flipped off of AT&T and went to a different route because of that, but I've been told that they've updated a lot of that stuff through 5G.
I just have a company phone, but I just go like, okay guys, I can't hear you.
Yep. So, good.
Becky talk here, fine. Okay, foundation, unfortunately, I missed the November meeting, but I know that that's the meeting where they look through all of the requests for supporting the library system, and from what I understand, most of them went through. There was one that maybe didn't, but I don't know.
It went through for part of the money.
Part of it.
Yeah.
So, generally, they were pretty straightforward, I thought. So, anything else about the foundation that I missed to share?
Not to share.
Not to share, okay. Got it. Okay, the rest of I didn't think I'd make 6 o'clock today, but we
Yep.
have all of the good publicity here that goes in the paper, and if anybody has any questions on this, I think just, Matt, you're good at reminding of opportunities to communicate. You never can communicate too much, I know that, so this is all good stuff. So anything else anybody had for today? Okay, otherwise, ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Second?
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful